Welcome back to Protecting Every Future's Kitchen Table Conversation. Protecting Every Future is a community initiative of the American Council of Life Insurers, where we talk about the important stuff: family financial security, retirement savings, savings in general, all things related to that. And we like to bring you experts who can expand on important parts of the challenge of achieving family financial security. And today we have a great group to talk about retirement security and military spouses. Allow me to introduce Kathy Roth-Douquet, who is the co-founder and CEO of Blue Star Families; Jen Goodale, who is the Director of Military Family Policy and Spouse Programs for the Military Officers Association of America; and Chandee Ulch, who is a producer on Moving with Military and a military spouse advocate in her own right. So welcome to all of you. We're very happy to have you here at the kitchen table. Cheers to each of you. I'll raise my mug. All right, well, let's dig in. I'm going to send the first question to Kathy. We'll start with you as the leader of Blue Star Families, which is an incredible organization that is founded by military spouses and dedicated to raising awareness of military family life. A lot of military spouses out there. Could you begin with an overview of what we're discussing today?
Sure. Blue Star Families' mission is to make sure that military-connected families can thrive while they serve our country. We need military folks to serve. Our nation's security depends on it, but they are volunteers. And if their families are struggling too much, then they can't continue to do it. And Blue Star Families is here to support those and help solve the problems of those who are serving our nation and continuing on into their veteran status. We know from our research that isolation, mental health challenges, but also financial security are major issues for military families. And that's despite the fact that our military is more educated, more credentialed than their civilian counterparts. Military spouses just aren't able to work at the same rate. And that leaves them with a legacy, a lifetime legacy of challenge. The bill that we're here to discuss today helps to address some of those inequities.
Chandee, can you just go a little deeper as somebody who's a military spouse yourself on just what the issues are facing military spouses?
Yes. So I've been in the military with my husband for over 20 years. And some of the things that we face is a huge underemployment issue. We also have a huge unemployment issue. I think out of all the subgroups in the United States, ours is the largest subgroup for underemployment and unemployment. And me personally, that has affected me. I mean, like I said, I have had, I think we were talking about it earlier, 2 bachelor's degrees, working on a master's degrees. I have reinvented myself more times than I can count. Where my friends back home in Charlotte, not a military town, stayed and worked and have worked for companies for 20 years and built up retirement plans and built up, a great 401k and have really invested in their future for those golden years. I have reinvented myself more times than they have even thought about. And I've had no choice because we move so often. That's just the reality of the life that we've chosen. And it's a great life, but there's still issues and things that we can address and try to improve on. And retirement is one of those for military spouses. I know on the Hill, they are working really hard, bipartisan, to get better opportunities for her to get employment and address some of the issues that we deal with the underemployment and unemployment. But the other thing that we really face that no one's really thinking of are those golden years that are going to be coming quicker than we really think they are.
Well, both of you, Kathy and Chandee, have alluded to legislation moving on Capitol Hill. And Jen, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk a little more about that and what the opportunity is for our community to get engaged and help us move this across the finish line before the end of the year.
Yes, thank you, Susan. And Chandee, I'm just so happy to hear you say it's a great life, because we do often get into this spiraling complaint world because there's a lot to complain about, but it's fun to reinvent yourself maybe once, maybe the second time, but it does get exhausting. So Congress is trying to help military spouses, and the Military Spouse Retirement Securities Act was a standalone piece of legislation that's now been included in what's called the Secure 2.0 Act. And what that bill would do is help military spouses get involved in their employer-sponsored retirement plans more quickly, and then also provide companies, small businesses that have 100 employees or less, with a tax credit for allowing those military spouses to, first of all, join the employee-sponsored plan within 2 months of the hiring date, which on average, it ranges from 6 months to a year before most businesses will allow an employee to participate in that plan. And it will also provide additional tax credits for those companies who do an employee match, dollar for dollar up to a certain amount. And then also the final piece, and this is important to me because at my company, you have to be here for X amount of years to be vested and recoup that entire employer contribution. This would give a tax credit to employers who let employees who leave before the, let's say, 5-year vesting schedule, take that money with them. So this is it's a small step. It's for only those small companies that have 100 employers less, but you got to start somewhere.
Well, that's what we say about all of retirement security policy is it's a combination of lots of steps that can add up to making a difference, but people need to be tuned in and understand that there's an opportunity to advocate and also an opportunity then to access this and maybe educate their employers as well. So what else should we be thinking about in terms of modern retirement security and how we can get people engaged that are watching and listening to this?
Go ahead, Chandee.
I think honestly, the biggest thing you can do is really reach out to your congressmen and your senators and stuff and let them know that you want them to sign on to this bill. This is not about politics. This is about the future of military spouses and to think about our golden years. When I created this bill, and it was in conjunction with help from other people, I kind of give you a little backstory. I had went to an event with Hiring Our Heroes, and I sat and listened and was thinking, man, they're doing great things, but they're thinking so short term. And we really got to start thinking long term. And when I sat down afterwards in a dinner with some people working there, I said, y'all are thinking very short term. And when he asked what I mean, I said, what about their retirement plans? You know, my husband and I are getting at the age where we are going to retire from the military. And yes, he's going to have a great retirement. But I've worked just as hard, just as long, and just as much as he has. And I have zero for it. I have absolutely nothing to show for that. And I said, I've been rejected from tenure at teaching just because I'm a military spouse. I've been rejected just from getting hired in general just because I'm a military spouse. It didn't matter what I brought to the table, and I had a lot to bring. And it just hit me, you know, I'm getting to the point where I had to think about my retirement. And I wish someone had told me when I was in my 20s. And I don't think we tell enough 20-year-olds, you need to start thinking about this now, because it really does affect your future and how you're going to plan for that future. And so I came home on a whim and literally just went, how can I find someone that's in the investment industry? And I Googled, thank God for Google, who was the CEO of Edward Jones, because my grandfather invests there. And so that was the only place I could think of at the moment. And it was Penny Pennington. And I went, I wonder if I could reach her on LinkedIn. So I went over, wrote this long message about who I was and what I wanted and my dream. And I sent it. And I wasn't even on the paid part of LinkedIn at that point. And so it was like, you get one message, you know, and I literally reached out to her 2 weeks later. She had reached back and said, I don't know you, but I think what you have in your head is a great idea. And she created a team to work around me, and they called me. And almost 3 years ago now, we started working on this. And it has been a process, because not only do we have to think about how can it benefit the military spouse? How can it benefit small businesses? It was also having to educate them on what it was like to be a military spouse. I remember Jesse Hill's the one I worked with Edward Jones, and he asked me a simple question. Would it be offensive if we asked people to see their military ID? Would they get really upset? And it just hit me in that moment. They have no clue. The civilian side just had no clue what it was like to be a military spouse. And I had to explain to him, I can't even get to my house if I live on base without that ID. And he's like, what? And I said, yeah, we're not even allowed to get to our own homes without the ID. We can't go to the doctor's office. We can't. And it was just that simple education of what it was like to be a military spouse, along with doing this bill at the same time. So this bill has been in creation for almost 3 years. So I want everyone to know that the greatest thing you can do is get behind us. And that's by asking your senators and your congressmen to vote yes.
But, I'd love to just jump on top of that if I can. It's not because, hey, feel sorry for the military spouse. It's because your small business is made possible because of the peace and prosperity that the United States military is providing by keeping the sea lanes open and keeping the borders quiet across the world. We're able to live the lives we do because of the really hard work that these wonderful people. My husband served 30 years in the Marine Corps. And, as Jennifer was saying, this is a privilege and you're proud to do it, but it's for the businesses themselves. So it is really only if you're interested in yourself should you care about the well-being of military families and their ability to keep doing it. The number one reason that someone who's otherwise promotable will leave the military is because they're concerned about their family's well-being. And chief among that is their spouse's career, their spouse's job perspective. So really doing this part of taking care of your country. And to just add on, the year after I married my husband, my income was 1% of my previous income. For most of the time I was married, it was 10% of my previous income. It wasn't until my husband retired that my income went back up again. And of course, that's that hit in retirement too. So let's make it even playing field for all of us so that we can be the kind of country that we want to be.
Yeah, I hate to quote the Blue Star Family Survey when we have Kathy here, but 39% of service members cite spouse employment concerns as a reason for leaving the service. And so because we already have a recruitment issue nationwide. I mean, all the services are facing issues, and the retention issue is pretty strong as well. And so if we don't effectively address the family concerns, it's only going to exacerbate the current problems.
I just read on the Federal News Network, and according to them, the 2022, they said 63% of military spouses face underemployment and 42 face unemployment in the active workforce right now.
Yeah, those are our 2021 numbers. And I can give you a little teaser from the 2022 survey, which we're just fielding now, which is that over a third, 37% of our respondents who want or need paid employment have been in 3 or more career fields since they married their service member. So it really is a challenging work situation. We're 4 to 6 times the level of civilian unemployment among military spouses. So, all of the assistance we can bring makes a difference.
You all are wonderful advocates and storytellers. I'm learning so much here, as I'm sure everybody in our PEF, our Protecting Every Future community is. I had always understood that military spouses had to move mountains and get families packed up and taken to the next spot and help create family life and kids go to school and all those things that are hard enough for the rest of us without the move. But you have really driven home the point that it is difficult to have a career in any traditional sense while you're moving around the world. And when you think about our talent shortage right now and the shortage of teachers and things like that, it's a golden opportunity to raise visibility on this. And then also the important aspect of it is military spouses need retirement security and that kind of peace of mind that comes with adequate retirement savings, just like everybody else. So thank you, all of you, for telling the stories. Chandee, I think you had more to say.
I was just going to say, I just want everyone to know that this is just the beginning of what we want to do for military spouses and retirement. And we want to, yes, it starts out with small businesses, but our goal is to get it to much larger businesses and companies. And so this is just the beginning of it and not the end of it. And so I want all of you to be encouraged that this is something that we're going to be working on for quite a while.
Right. And Chandee highlighted already how important your voice is as a constituent. Your lawmakers want to hear from you. They value your opinion, your voice, and your experience. And so, Susan, I'll provide a link, but we have a call to action center here at the Military Officers Association of America. You don't have to be a member. Anyone can get on there. You just put in your name and address, and that'll automatically populate with your lawmakers. And you can send them a note. It'll either say, thank you for already supporting this, or we will urge you to support. And you can even include your own personal touch within the message. So Susan, I'll make sure that we get you a link for that.
Well, to the Protecting Every Future community, you've heard it all here from these great articulate advocates and experts. Kathy, Chandee, Jen, we really appreciate you. We appreciate you being on the program, but also all the ways that you are leading and tackling this really, really important challenge. Thank you.